It is the Chris Plant Show, and it is Thursday, and it's Mike Opelka sitting in for my friend Chris Plant. I was waiting because I thought there was a clip coming. Usually a pithy clip coming. Playing something from the overnight political madness that we are experiencing. But we'll get to it. We certainly have much to discuss today. Welcome to Thursday, the 5th of September. And we are but 60 days and change away from the most important election of our lifetimes, the most important election of our country in our history, and we are about 5 days away from a presidential debate, which I think will continue to move the momentum towards Donald John Trump. We will see. Mr. Trump was out on the campaign trail last night with Sean Hannity in a town hall, and he talked about the debate a little bit. He talked about the economy. He talked about Kamala Harris, and we'll get to some of that. We'll also discuss what Kamala Harris said. She was in New Hampshire yesterday, a state that is so jazzed to see her, so excited to see her. They reportedly bust in at least 4 buses from Massachusetts to come see Kamala Harris speak. Now, I know that they're neighbors, Massachusetts and New Hampshire, but if you're in New Hampshire and you have to bring busloads of people from Massachusetts, that's not a good sign. And Massachusetts has been reliably Democrat in terms of national elections for quite some time. New Hampshire. So we'll see what happens. I do have some clips from that. There were weird moments in Kamala Harris's presentation, and I believe they have a cheerleader in the crowd wherever she goes. There are the same voices heard screaming as she finishes a sentence. There are obviously applause lines, and they're trying to trigger a response from the people. I'll give you some examples. We have many, many things to get to today, including some really Lindsey Graham warmongering stuff that I haven't heard in a long time. Lindsey Graham appearing on Fox News yesterday, doing a little warmongering. We'll get to that. I don't know if Lindsey Graham knows it, but we don't currently have boots on the ground in Israel. Maybe he wants that to happen. We don't. We're trying to help them fight their war against the terrorists. Maybe there's something we could do to shut down the Iranians who are pushing the war on every front, from Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis. Maybe we could do something there. But Lindsey's calling for the death of the Hamas leader. We'll play that for you. There are updates on polls that are happening. We have some freaking out going on at CNN and some freaking out going on at MSNBC, and all kinds of fun today that we will have. We also have a couple of updates on stories that are unfolding right now. Yesterday, of course, during the program, they began trickling news out to us from Georgia, where the school shooter took the lives of 4 people, 2 kids, 2 teachers. 2 high school children were killed, and 2 teachers were killed yesterday by a 14-year-old student who will be charged as an adult today. And I don't want to say the kid's name. I'm just one of those people who doesn't want to promote shooters like this. I didn't promote the Trump shooter. That guy murdered an innocent man who was there to see Donald Trump speak, almost killed Donald Trump, injured 2 others. I don't want to give his name any glory, so I won't. And the same applies with this child, a 14-year-old who took the lives of 4 people, injured many others. I think 9 are currently still in the hospital. But the odd part in all of this is, in May of 2023, over 1 year ago, the FBI was called to investigate a report that this same person had posted a threat to shoot up the school. Just over 1 year ago, it was May of 2023, the FBI went out, they investigated, I'm using the obligatory air quotes with my fingers, and decided there was nothing there. Now, I don't know about you, but if there is a reasonable threat, and it wasn't one person who called the FBI has an anonymous tip line for school shootings. You can call in if you hear something at school, your kid hears something. You can call in and say, hey, we got a problem. But there wasn't just one. The FBI itself in its reporting said there were multiple calls about this kid, about this very same individual. Now, there's obviously a problem. This is obviously a troubled individual. As Chris likes to say, and I agree with him 1,000%, it's not our guns, it's your sons. He's right. This kid was a problem. The FBI said, well, we don't have anything we can do here. We can't arrest him. But why was the kid then kept in the mainstream class? Why wasn't there a counselor involved? We don't know. Maybe there was, but we're certainly not hearing that. This is a really disturbing case, especially when you say the school knew over a year ago that this was a problem. And now there are 4 dead people, a host of others who are injured in the gunfire, and hundreds traumatized by the incident. It isn't a problem. It's a mental health issue, in my opinion. And the other topic this brings up, and I have questions on this, and I'd love to get your opinions as well. You're always welcome on the show. 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. The other topic this connects to is the topic of cell phones, smartphones in the classrooms. I've heard it both sides. I've heard people saying, well, this is the reason why you have to have cell phones in the classroom. This is the absolute 100% evidence why you need to have every kid having their smartphone in the classroom. And I'm of a mind to say, no, this is the reason why you don't have smartphones in the classroom. Nobody's paying attention. And if there's a report of a school shooter, and there was for a long time, we were all kept on tenterhooks yesterday, as there were reports that there was a school shooter and they had not shut it down yet. The police were not able to track down and get rid of the shooter or capture them. And so if every parent who has a kid in that school, and I'm sure they were freaking out, they were absolutely losing their minds, as I would have been. But if you're calling your child and their phone is ringing and that kid is hiding, guess what? You may have just tipped off the shooter. So I'm always against phones in the classrooms. You can have them at lunch, you can have them before class, you can have them after class. But the phones in the classroom are ruining it for me. And if I'm wrong on this, you're welcome to tell me I'm wrong on this. But this story is going to also reignite the arguments on the left that we have to get rid of firearms, pretty much. Kamala Harris is all for the removal of firearms from our society. She's not saying it fully yet. She is talking about getting rid of the AR platform. And the AR-15 platform was the rumored weapon in this incident. Now, how did a 14-year-old child carry an AR-style weapon into a school? How did that happen? Isn't there a school resource officer? I mean, it's Georgia. You would anticipate, I would think there would be a school resource officer. There's a report that this entire school district was also discussing allowing teachers who wanted to carry in the classroom to be allowed to do so if they were trained and if they were certified. But one of the superintendents of this school district decided that was a bad idea. Now, who knows if that would have stopped this kid? We don't know. Nobody can know unless the kid tells us. He's still alive, and he's going to be charged as an adult, as I said. But this will trigger, intentionally use the word, trigger the Democrats and people like Kamala Harris to demand a mandatory buyback of one specific type of weapon.
I support buybacks, and I think that, look, we have 5 million assault weapons on the streets of America, and we have 5 million assault weapons on the streets of America.
They're not all on the streets. Some of those weapons are kept in these things we call gun safes, where responsible gun owners keep their firearms until such time as they need to have them. But just keep saying they're on the streets. It's not like I can wander down the streets. I can't walk around 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and just bump into an assault weapon on the street. There's 5 million of them out there, and there are quite a few.
And assault weapons have been designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly.
I doubt she's ever fired one. She's parroting a lot of the talking points we often hear from the people on the left, especially in the mainstream media. The old Don Lemon show on CNN used to talk a lot about how bad these firearms are. And we actually invited Don Lemon to go shooting with us when the DNC was in Philadelphia, and he declined. We offered to give $1,000 to whatever crazy charity he wanted if he would just go experience the shooting an AR-15 style rifle, but he declined. I doubt Kamala's ever fired a gun, ever.
They are weapons of war.
No, they're not.
And there is no place for them on the civil society, on the streets of a civil society. And it's something I'm so passionate about and so looking forward to being president to address. We've got to deal with this.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
Second Amendment?
The Second Amendment, listen, we're going to have to do it the right way. There's no question about that. But we don't have any, we have to get these guns off the street. But I also, I have faith in the American people to know that, that we want to comply with our laws, and that I know that to be true.
So we want to comply with our laws, but what about the laws on the border? I have faith in the American people, too, which is why I hope and I pray that you're not going to be elected. Just saying. Couple of calls coming in. We should maybe grab a quick call before we take the first break here. Phil is on the phone in Fredericksburg. Hello, Phil. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show. Hello, Phil.
Just wanted to say it's way past time that we have a federal law in the books that if you grab a gun, or if you grab for example, a truck, and you do a mass killing, if you kill mass amounts of people, that's a death penalty offense. You just killed yourself. And now I don't want to hear about how they're mentally ill, or how they were raised, or how they were beat on, or how they were abused. There's no excuse for grabbing a gun and killing innocent people. There's just no excuse. That guy that's in prison right now that went into that theater, his name was Holmes, and he's still alive. He tried to kill over 100 people. There's no excuse for that. We have to have a federal law that says if you grab a gun and you kill mass numbers of people, you just killed yourself.
Thank you, Phil. It requires leadership at the top that has similar strength and commitment to that kind of thinking. We don't have that right now with Democrats. Just throwing that out there. It is Opelka in for Plant on the Chris Plant Show. It is the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for Chris just today. He'll return tomorrow. Thanks for being here. We have so many things to get to, and the phones immediately lit up as we discussed the situation in Georgia with this 14-year-old kid who killed 4 people yesterday. And Charlie is in Orlando, Florida, and brings up a really interesting point on this. Charlie, welcome to the Chris Plant Show. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. I was just bragging on what a great point you had, and then I didn't see you there. I didn't hear you, so welcome.
Yes, I'm sorry. I walked away from my I have a speaker that I use. I'm in the middle of doing laundry. Today is my day off. But, Michael, yes, this father should be charged. He was interviewed by the FBI in the Barrow County in Georgia, and he guaranteed the police that he wasn't going to have access to this weapon. And at 14 years old, my parents used to, or my father or mother, they would kind of send me off to school. You're still 14 years old. And how the hell are you going to get an AR-15 into a school if this is the weapon? I can see a pistol maybe, but metal detectors are very inexpensive. And if they do have a resource officer, it's real easy for the kids to come through. And especially, he should have had extra eyeballs on him. If he was already interviewed a year ago by the FBI, they should have put a metal detector in the school just because he made those threats. They're only a couple $1,000s.
Yeah, and a school resource officer also is a great set of eyes and ears, and they usually are trained law enforcement who retired, and they know how to make connections with the community and the community of kids. But in terms of the AR-15, if we go back to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump on July 13th, which I know the media has forgotten about, that AR-15 had a folding stock, so he was able to fit it in his backpack. Might have been the same case here, but I agree with you. There is parental culpability here, and parents used to be held responsible for the actions of their juveniles. Not so much anymore, but good point, Charlie. Thanks for being there, sir. And good luck with the laundry. Let's try and grab one more quick one. Cynthia in Arlington, Virginia. Hello, Cynthia. Cynthia, are you with me? She's not. Cynthia, we're going to talk to you on the other side. And if you're doing laundry too, it's okay. You got to put the softener in. We'll get to some of the things that Donald Trump said last night in his town hall with Sean Hannity. We'll get to more of the crazy things that came out of the mouth of Kamala Harris yesterday. And CNN appears to be freaking out. There appears to be a panic because the honeymoon, that post-campaign bounce, never really materialized for Kamala Harris. Or it did, but it was so ephemeral, it's basically gone. And that's why they're going to places that Democrats don't normally lose, like New Hampshire. We'll explain just around the corner. It's Opelka in for Plant on the Chris Plant Show. And welcome to Thursday on the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka sitting in for my friend Chris Plant. He will be back tomorrow to celebrate the Friday and the kickoff of the weekend. We are 60 days and a handful of hours away from an election. We are less than a week away from the debate. Yesterday, Kamala and her team finally acquiesced and agreed to what they agreed to, which is kind of funny. They actually agreed to the terms of the deal that they agreed to. So while they tried to renegotiate after the fact, Donald Trump, the guy, who gave us the art of the deal, well, he stuck by his guns. I'm sorry to bring up guns. I know there are liberals listening, and if you say guns, they kind of go apoplectic. It's triggering language. There I go again. Sorry. There are people who are hoplophobes. A hoplophobe is somebody who has an irrational fear of firearms. I have a fear of crazy people. I have a fear of people who can't handle reality. And that's my problem. I'm not alone on this. I know many of you have the same thinking on this, that we have a mental illness problem in this country. And the situation of the shooter in Georgia, somebody we knew about over a year ago, somebody the school knew about, somebody who the FBI knew about, and yet over a year later shows up in class and ends up killing 4 people, wounding several others, 9 of which still hospitalized, traumatizing hundreds, and reigniting a conversation on the removal of a right of Americans, not fixing the problem. Not dealing with the problem. No, it doesn't make any sense to me. And you're welcome to weigh in. 888-630-9625. Paul is in Lexington Park, Maryland. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Mike. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you. You're never going to fix crazy. You're not going to stop crazy. There will always be crazy. And earlier caller said we should implement capital punishment for that. That's not going to work. I mean, these people, first of all, these people don't care whether they die because they obviously put themselves in a position to where that's the likely outcome either by authorities or themselves. So that's not going to work. What we need to do is find out who's crazy, find out who needs help, and then stop them from acting out on their thoughts. And that never happens. It never every mass shooting that I can remember, you hear that, oh, well, we had this guy on the radar. They either had him on the radar or should have had them on the radar for years, and somebody drops the ball. We need to start holding people accountable who are in these positions that are supposed to do their job. We need to hold them accountable. They need to lose their job because obviously they don't do it very well. I mean, I own a roofing company. If I had performed my job like these people are performing their jobs, I would have people calling me left and right with leaks coming in all over the place. Do your damn job, or let's get somebody that can. That's where the problem is.
Yeah, I think you're right. And if we look at it, Paul, thank you for your call. If we look at the reality here, accountability is a big problem in this country. And July 13th is proof. Donald Trump nearly assassinated in a situation that should have been safe for him. He had Secret Service protection, but there were gigantic failures among the network of agencies there led by the Secret Service, and nobody's been fired. Nobody. The Secret Service director resigned. She wasn't fired. Nobody's been fired. No accountability. And it seems like every week we get more information that just makes you angrier, that says, hey, nobody's doing their job because no one's held to account. It really is a deficit in this country, the accountability deficit. It cannot be underscored enough. And until such time as people realize, oh, my gosh, if I don't do my job, I'm going to lose my job. Well, yeah, once that starts happening, maybe people start paying attention to what they're supposed to be doing. Not the case. And from July 13th to today, nobody's been fired for the near assassination of Donald John Trump, the murder of an innocent man, the serious injuries to two others who just happened to be in the line of fire. Nobody's been fired. Nobody. Amazing. It is very infuriating to me. Very infuriating to me. I'm getting a lot of messages coming in from people who have opinions on this story, on this. This is an unfolding story. We're going to hear more and more throughout the day as the 14-year-old is going to face a judge today to be charged as an adult. For everybody who said, well, we need the death penalty, do you think this country is going to allow a 14-year-old to be put to death? I don't think so. I understand what you're saying. The anger is right. But you're not going to have a nation kill a 14-year-old. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. Another crazy story that popped up yesterday, I'm totally pivoting away to this, from this and going to another political angle because I'm getting a lot of people saying, hey, what did you think about Tim Walz's family? All endorsing Donald Trump. Did you see the picture yesterday? This photo of a bunch of folks standing on a porch with a big sign behind them that says Trump 2024, Take America Back. And they're all wearing the same blue shirt with white print that says Walz's for Trump. And I know it went viral yesterday. I know this photo went viral yesterday. It was everywhere. Tim Walz's family sending a message. People were saying, oh, it's got to be AI. It's got to be artificial intelligence. No, it's real. Now, it's not the immediate family. It's not like Tim Walz's wife and his kids are posing, although that might happen. That could happen. But I don't think it is. It's not. It's cousins. His brother has come out for Donald Trump, and I believe his brother's going to show up at a Trump campaign event. But this is just interesting. And I'm sure Cynthia back from doing the laundry in Arlington, Virginia? Cynthia, are you with us yet?
I do have a lot of laundry that needs to be done, but that's not what I was doing. I inadvertently hit the mute button.
That's okay. It is laundry day. You'll be the second person talking about laundry today. Yeah. Did you see
Mine's well overdue. Yeah, I know. I had a comment about Timmy Walls and his acceptance speech at the DNC when they brought all of the football players that he had coached out onto the stage. The music that they played was the Marine Tim.
Oh boy!
And I was personally offended. My dad was a colonel in the Marine Corps who was a rifle platoon commander in Korea and a battalion commander in Vietnam. And he and my mom are at Arlington Cemetery as we speak. And I just couldn't believe it. I thought, well, maybe there's a Marine, maybe one of these football players that he had coached joined the Marine Corps. So no, had nothing to do with it. It was just what I call stolen music. Like stolen valor, only it's stolen music.
Wow, I did not notice that. I watched that. I might have the TV sound down because I watched so much of the DNC with the sound down because, you can only handle so much of the mistruths.
It was a little nauseating.
Yeah, it was. But that's a really good catch. That's a really good observation. Stolen valor via music. You know how the left gets really upset at Donald Trump when he uses their music at rallies? In fact, there are now 30 groups, 30 artists who have told Donald Trump, you can't use our music because you're a bad man. That now we should say the same for Tim Walz, that maybe until you correct your record about claiming you were a command sergeant major, you're not allowed to use the Marine Corps anthem. Maybe you can't use that, but I don't think they're going to listen to us. But that's a very good catch. Now get back to your laundry, young lady. You got to get your laundry done in time for the weekend. Thank you, Cynthia. The topic of accountability as it relates to the shooting is a hot topic today. I'm going to stay on this, and I want to talk to some of you who are calling in here because I want to make sure we get to as many of these. Kevin is in Shenandoah County, Virginia. Kevin, welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. So I come from the infamous Shenandoah County that changed the Confederate names back to our schools.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So anyway, here's my point. If you rob a bank and you're the driver, you get charged an accessory, right?
Yes.
So when is somebody at the FBI going to be held accountable for the same thing? Especially in this case where they had numerous phone calls about this kid. So if I was any of the family that actually had one of my loved ones killed in this incident, I would actually do a civil lawsuit and go after the head of the FBI, name him in a lawsuit. Because until some of this stuff happens, these people are just going to be, not held accountable as we've seen in so many instances. I mean, especially this last year, it's ridiculous. It's so out of control.
Kevin, one of the things that we can say is you're right. There were multiple phone calls to the FBI tip line about this kid threatening to shoot up the school. That was May of 2023. The FBI investigated based on and there were records to this. The FBI went and investigated this story and these claims. And in the course of doing so, based on whatever protocol or guidelines they have for investigating, they decided this was not a situation where the kid would be arrested or any other further action needed to be taken. So the problem may not be with the FBI, but with the procedures. There has to be a way that we can then have a follow-up procedure on a case that warranted investigation because so many people called and said, there's a problem with this kid. He's posting pictures of firearms. He's saying he's going to shoot up the school. So the problem may not be with the men and women of the FBI, maybe with the procedures that are in place. And therein lies the big question. How do you fix it? You fix it by being honest with each other and saying, hey, we went there, but based on our procedures, we're flawed. We didn't catch this. We missed this. We've missed too many. There's too many times we hear the FBI saying, well, they were on our radar. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. They're on our radar is a load of garbage. But thank you, Kevin. It's a good point. I'm not going to demonize everybody at the FBI. And we're going to talk about the FBI because the subject of the FBI and the DOJ and Russia collusion came up yesterday as well. But I'm going to stay on this topic. Robert is in Ohio. Robert, welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Yeah, good morning. I have a unique perspective on all of this, primarily because of my background and my career. I started out in education in 1966 here in Ohio, and I was also a part-time police officer at that time. I've continued my law enforcement career and my education career until the point I retired from education and went full-time in law enforcement. And I am a law enforcement firearms trainer. I also have another unique perspective that I taught 9 years at the FBI Academy Quantico as a firearms instructor to new agent trainees, serving officers, international types, when we had an opportunity to work with the National Academy. And I've watched this whole thing develop over 30 years. And the failure is with the adults, not so much the kids. The failure is with the adults. The assassination attempt on the President of the United States weeks ago is a failure of the adults to do their job. And then the lack of accountability when the screw-up happens. You don't understand what I'm saying? Nobody is being held to account. Nobody's feet are being held to the fire. It's not the firearms, it's the adults in the room. There is no management, there is no supervision anymore of children. Tell me I'm wrong, Chris. Go ahead. Tell me I'm wrong. There is no longer supervision of young people. We breed them, we throw them out on the street, and we say, grow up. Well, excuse me, do we have any guidance here? No, we have no guidance. So when these kids go rogue, everybody points the finger at everybody else. The schools have a responsibility to maintain a safe learning environment. That's their job. They failed miserably at it. Law enforcement has a responsibility to follow up on known problem children. They failed. Do you get where I'm coming from here?
I do, but I have to correct you because Chris is out today. It's Mike Opelka, but I understand your passion is powerful and you're correct. And Chris has often said, it's not our guns, it's your sons. And part of the problem, I believe, we trace to not just the accountability that you've so eloquently addressed here and so passionately addressed here, but the part of the problem is the lives of these kids need to have, in as many cases as possible, a mother and a father involved. We see what happens when both parents, maybe not living in the same house, but involved in the lives of these kids. Chances are we have a better chance of raising better human beings. There are responsibilities that have to be addressed inside the school and inside the law enforcement community. The schools are supposed to be in loco parentis. They are, the minute that kid crosses the threshold into the school has a parental responsibility to that child. And there was a failure there. There was a failure. There was a failure of law enforcement. We can play the blame game a lot, but we also have to understand that it's not the guns, it's the sons. And that's fixed by the parents. So much more to get to. It's Opelka, me, Mike Opelka, in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show. It is The Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka, that's me, sitting in for my buddy Chris Plant. He returns tomorrow. And we have kind of taken this first hour and focused on the shooting in Georgia yesterday. And one of the overlooked issues in the shooting yesterday and how quickly it stopped, because even though 4 people are dead and many are injured, it was stopped pretty quickly. And there was an explanation at the press conference yesterday afternoon about what stopped it.
He was armed, and our school resource officer engaged him, and the shooter quickly realized that if he did not give up, that it would end with an OIS, or an officer-involved shooting. He gave up, got on the ground, and the deputy took him into custody.
So the suspect, the 14-year-old child, saw the school resource officer was armed, and he gave up immediately. He stopped immediately. But for that armed school resource officer, it could have been even worse. And pretty darn awful as it was. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about school resource officers. I wonder if she's ever been heard remarking about that.
Demilitarizing our schools and taking police officers out of schools.
Taking the police officers out of schools. Gee. What kind of thinking is that? Kamala Harris going against it. Now, somebody else apparently agrees with Kamala Harris or thinks this isn't a good thing. Marianne in Frederick, Maryland is on the phone. Hello, Marianne.
Hello. Actually, I vehemently disagree with Kamala Harris on this. I read an article yesterday that Montgomery County, Maryland, has resource officers in school, but they don't walk the hallways. They sit in their office, and if teachers and kids want to talk to them, they can go to the office. And I am sure that every high school kid knows snitches get stitches, and nobody is going to voluntarily walk down to the resource officer's office to let him in on what's going on in the school.
Well, I think you've nailed it. If you're going to have a school resource officer, they need to be in the school, in the community. That's where the best policing happens. It's Opelka in for Plant on the Chris Plant Show.